Okay. So thank you for being here. If you are on this webinar, it's most likely because you had students who qualified for the International Leadership Conference. So congratulations to you and your students. Thank you all for being at SLC. It was a phenomenal conference. And so we are looking forward to ILC in Nashville in June. There's quite a bit I want to cover here. We are having kind of a new registration process. The actual way to register is still the same, but we are having 3 different deadlines. And so I'm going to be going through that in detail. But first, I want to cover some of the basics. I'm going to share my screen and we will go through our website, the ILC page on our website. Okay, so I will get to this part in just a second. You'll see, click here to see the ILC eligibility table. I will get to that in just one moment. But first, I do want to go to the ILC page on our website. So just hover over conferences and click on International Leadership Conference. So ILC, like I just mentioned, will be in Nashville, Tennessee this year, June 18th through the 22nd. Technically, it is June 18th through the 21st, but we always say the 22nd because the 21st is the last day of the conference and the awards session goes until late. So we just want to make sure that you would then be staying the night that night. So that's why we have it on here as June 18th through the 22nd. It will be at the Gaylord Opryland Resort in Tennessee. We have a little bit of information about what members and advisors can expect at the International Leadership Conference right here. And we will get to the ILC registration deadlines for Florida HOSA, specifically to Florida HOSA. So you'll see May 15th a lot, but that is the Global National HOSA deadline. That is not our deadline. So please focus more on our registration deadlines first, and I'll get to the things that are due May 15th. And then I will go through what is due to Florida HOSA and what is due to Global National HOSA. There are different things. Not everything is submitted to Florida HOSA like it would be for the State Leadership Conference, because obviously that is our conference hosted by us at Florida HOSA. The International Leadership Conference is hosted by Global National HOSA. We do a lot from our state level in terms of managing competitive events and helping Global National HOSA out, but it is their conference that they are hosting. First, I want to go through these blue boxes, and again, we will come back to this eligibility table because I do want to focus quite a bit on that. But this webinar, like I'd mentioned, is being recorded, so it will be posted here under ILC Advisor Webinar. Hopefully tomorrow we can get that up. So if you need to refer back to it, or if you know any advisors that are have had a prior commitment and missed this webinar, it will be posted there. ILC Information, if you click there, it will bring you right directly to the International Leadership Conference page on the Global National HOSA website. This is where you're going to get majority of your information that you will need, because again, it is hosted by Global National HOSA. So they have all the information for ILC here on this page. You will see a link to the 2025 ILC guide. I'll just quickly bring that up and show you. It's 39 pages, so it's very in-depth, but you can look at this at your leisure. It just talks about the opening general sessions, competitive events, all the different opportunities and things that your members will have if they do attend ILC. They have a massive expo and career fair, a lot bigger than ours. And so there's different information like that in this guide. So please look at this at your leisure, but it is there linked for you right here. They do have the old ILC program from 2024 on here if you're interested in looking at that. And they have educational workshop registrations. There's more information about that in the ILC guide. I'm not going to spend too much time going through the specifics of the guide because you can look, like I said, you can look at it at your leisure. And I want to focus more on our Florida HOSA deadlines and the registration process that we will have. But I do just kind of want to touch base on a few of these important boxes that are on this page. Competitive event information can be found here. They do a HOSA Fun Day that can be found here. If you're interested, if you're going and you're interested in judging, I know they're looking for more judges. So that information is posted right in this box. If you have any students that are interested in being a voting delegate, we'll get to that in just a little bit. But that information can be found here. Probably what a lot of you are wondering about, the hotel and travel, that can be found right here. There is a link, the Unified Event Solutions, who helps us with our state leadership conference, is also assisting Global National HOSA with their hotel arrangements and reservations. So they do have a page here with more information about hotels. And the hotel reservation deadline is May 15th. So again, that's one of those important May 15th deadlines. So the hotel reservation link can be found right here in blue. So just make sure you go to that link. You'll have a drop down menu that you'll select that you're a local chapter trying to make a hotel reservation, and it will lead you on to complete the reservation from there. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, and I can, because it's not listed on here, but I can give you Jonathan's contact information for any questions about the hotel reservations. Because again, we are not handling that. So all hotel questions will need to go to Jonathan's team at Unified Event Solutions or to Global National HOSA. But that's where you can find the hotel information. And then there's an advisor CEU packet, more information about some HOSA partners, scholarship donations, and other things that you can view down here as well. But we do have, again, this is linked right from our website so that you can easily find it. But it is just on the Global National HOSA website. If you hover over conferences and click International Leadership Conference, it is right there. So going back to our page, the third box on here is our ILC checklist. This is due to be submitted to us. I will go over the deadline for that, but please make sure you are reviewing this checklist. It's very similar to the SLC checklist. It's very similar to the FLDA checklist. So you should be fully aware. I know that a lot of you probably will have lead chaperones in your place potentially. So please make sure, if you are not attending as the advisor, that you are designating a lead chaperone right here by putting their name, as well as listing their cell phone number. Because if you are not coming and you have a lead chaperone taking your place, they are going to be responsible, same thing like SLC, for picking up your registration bag and completing registration check-in. So just please make sure you go through this checklist in depth. I will go through this as we go through some of the other links that we have on our page. But again, this does have pretty much everything you're going to be needing to turn in, but not all of it comes to us. So again, that's what I will go through in just a second. But this will keep you on track to make sure that you're completing everything that you're supposed to be, have completed for ILC. Again, it's just that some of it will come to Florida HOSA and some of it will go directly to Global National HOSA. And I will talk a little bit more about the payment in just a second, but please make sure that you are sending the payment to Florida HOSA. It is not to be sent to Global National HOSA. The only thing that ever goes to Global National HOSA are your affiliation dues. We had a lot of issues with SLC where school checks were being made out to Global National HOSA or just HOSA with the South Lake, Texas address, but being sent to us for SLC. Please make sure that you are sending your check, your school check or money order to Florida HOSA, and that it is made out to Florida HOSA with our address, not Global National HOSA's. That's why it says right here at the bottom, do not send payment to Global National HOSA in South Lake, Texas. Please make sure you're not sending the payment there, but that you're also not making the check out to them, because that causes us issues when we're trying to deposit checks, because the check is not being made out to Florida HOSA. It's being made out to Global National HOSA. I know it can get confusing for your bookkeepers, but we do have 2 different addresses. So they need to make sure, just please remind them that they are making sure that the check is being sent to us at Florida HOSA with our Alachua, Florida address, and not to Global National HOSA in South Lake, Texas, because then we won't have your payment and then you won't be able to check in at registration. And we want to try to avoid that. So we take all of the payments for ILC for our Florida delegation, and then we submit payment to Global National HOSA as one payment. So that is why all of the payments come to us, and then we pay Global National HOSA for our full registration fee for our entire delegation as one. Okay, so the ILC required forms and submission. So this is where, so pay attention, because this is different from SLC. Normally these forms are what you're submitting to us, the code of conduct, code of ethics, and the medical liability release form. Normally for SLC, that is submitted to us. But for ILC, because it is Global National HOSA's conference, those forms need to be submitted to them. So if you click here on this ILC required forms and submission, it will take you to this page. I will tell you, this page is hard to find. That's why we link it for you in our on our ILC page, because it can be found in the guide. So if for some reason you forget it's on our page and you need to find it, it is in the guide, but it is hard to find within the guide. So just use the link from our page to get to the forms. But you can see here, they have a link to the medical liability and code of conduct forms for the members, and then the advisor code of conduct. They do not split these forms out in the way that we do. We have 3 separate forms. We have the members, and then we have the advisors and chaperones, and then we have guest family. They don't separate it like that, but so just do your best when filling these out. Make sure you're clicking on the advisor code of conduct for advisors, and then for everybody else, the medical liability and code of conduct forms. And then what you'll do is you will combine all of the forms into one PDF, or it's going to make your life difficult, because you don't want to have to, especially if you have a larger delegation going from your local chapter, you don't want to have to submit individual forms, because when you do, you have to fill this out. So you're gonna have to put your name, the state, the chapter, school name, email, phone number. Here's where you'll upload your forms. So that's why I'm saying just collect all your forms together, put them all into one PDF, and just submit them this way. They do have the option to upload the forms via a link. So if you have any issues uploading, you could put it on a Google Drive and upload the link. Just make sure if you're doing that, you're allowing anybody to be able to view them, so that they don't have any issues trying to view your forms. I would suggest, if you can, uploading the file. It just will help any issues with them having access to the forms. But please just combine all of your code of conduct and medical liability forms into one, and upload it this way. 2 things: we do not need so there on the top of those forms, it's going to say that you have to submit a copy to us, and that we're submitting a copy as well, but we're not. So we do not need these forms. These are ILC forms. So please make sure you're just uploading these. You do not have to send these in with your packet that you're mailing to us. These only are uploaded to Global National HOSA via this page. So you can disregard what's at the top of their forms. They just haven't updated them. And make sure that you're just submitting it this way instead of sending them to us. However, please make sure that you are bringing a copy of these forms, same as you do for SLC, and you'll see that still on the ILC checklist that you have to sign off. Please make sure you're still bringing these forms with you in case anything were to happen. You have these for reference, so you need to submit them to Global National HOSA. Bring a copy with you, but you do not need to submit them to Florida HOSA with your packet. And I'll remind you all at the end about that as well.
Can I interject a quick question?
Can you save the question until the end just so we can get through, and then I might answer it at during the webinar. So just save the question until the end, and then you can put it in the chat or speak up and ask it. There will be a section at the end for advisor Q&A. Next is the PIN order form. If you're not familiar with this, maybe you're a newer advisor, we do, there is a lot of PIN trading that goes on at ILC. So we do have an extra supply, but it's not an infinite supply. It's a limited amount, but we do have extra pins that you can pre-order for ILC. If you would like to do that, you can fill out this form. So you'll just need to put your chapter number, your school name, your name, email address, and how many pins you want. They are $2 per pin. And same as always, the checks need to be made payable to Florida HOSA and mailed to the state office. In the past, we have mailed them prior. We are no longer doing that. So if you pre-order pins, they will be available for pickup at the ILC registration check-in. And that'll be on Wednesday, June 18th from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So we'll have your pins set aside. You can just come and pick them up at the ILC registration check-in. If you would like to pre-order pins for ILC, and they're just our Florida HOSA SLC pins. So the ones you got at the State Leadership Conference. So it's just, ordering extra if your students would like to trade pins at ILC. The order form must be mailed to Mandy. Her email is listed right there by Thursday, May 15th. We just kept it consistent with the other deadlines for ILC by Global National HOSA in terms of hotel and travel and all that. So please get this form into Mandy by the 15th if you are interested in pre-ordering pins. If you do not get the order form in by then, the pins will be available on a first come, first serve basis. So we will be selling them there, but we won't know how many we will really have once all the pre-orders are completed. So like I said, if you're interested in getting extra pins for your members to trade there, please get this form in as soon as possible. Because again, we do have an extra supply, but it's not a ton. So, and then the form has to be sent in to Mandy by the 15th, but payment doesn't need to be received to the office until the 30th of May. So just keep that in mind. But again, please make sure that if we get the order form, but we don't get your payment, then the pins are up for grabs for other people. So please make sure you're getting the form in by the 15th and your payment in by the 30th if you're interested in pre-ordering pins. Okay, and then we also have some information on substitution of team members. It is the exact same as SLC. But this is basically the same examples provided that we had for SLC when you're moving from the regional conference to the state conference. So moving from the state conference to the international conference is the exact same in terms of rules. So the new ILC team must have at least 25% or higher of the original team members. So I'll give a quick example. The first one listed at the top is HOSA Bowl. So that team for HOSA Bowl is exactly 4 members. So if there's 2 team members that are unable to attend the ILC from that 4-person team that competed at SLC, they would need to have 2 substitutes because, again, there is a requirement of 4 exactly. But they would have to have 2 substitutes that would replace those 2 that cannot come. So there would be 2 original team members and there would be 2 new team members as the substitutes. And that would be okay because there still would be 50% of the original team. So you can use the formula here at the bottom to help determine if your new ILC team with substitutes will be able to compete. Again, has to meet that 25% threshold. So you take the original team members from the SLC that are on the new ILC team, and you're going to divide it by the total team members on the new ILC team, and that will give you your percentage. Once you've looked at this, if you still have questions and just want to double, triple check, you can shoot me an email and I'll let you know if yes, yes, they can do that substitution or no, they can't. It's rare that a team doesn't meet the 25%, but sometimes it can happen. So just make sure you're looking at this if you do have, if you have to do team member substitutions, that you're meeting the rule set by Global National HOSA of that 25% or more. Accommodation request forms. So if you click here, if you have a member that is competing in interviewing skills, personal care, life support skills, or speaking skills, you must fill out this accommodation form. It is different from ours in the sense that ours is, one, it looks different, but 2, you submit it with your packet. So this is another thing that does not need to be mailed to Florida HOSA. We do not need this request form. You will be submitting this form on your own for Global National HOSA to review. It is due, again, May 15th. So pretty much most things that they are requiring, like the this accommodation form or the medical liability and code of conduct forms, those are all due May 15th. So you'll just need to read this form, fill out the accommodation information below, and just submit it to Global National HOSA. Again, we do not need a copy of this, but we have it linked so that's easy for you to find. And again, that's only for those 4 events, if you have anybody competing in those 4 events, and they are listed at the top of the form. Digital uploads, we did not do digital uploads for SLC, but digital uploads are required for ILC. So your students should be aware of if their event requires a digital upload, it'd be listed in the guidelines, but you can click here. It will take you directly to the Global National HOSA competitive event digital uploads page, which has all of the instructions. There are video tutorial links right here. They have a handout. All the information that your students will need for uploading and that you may need for uploading are all here. Again, the video link, the handout, it has competitor instructions, and then it also has chapter advisor instructions. So everything you need will be on this page. And then here are all of the events that require a digital upload. Those are all listed. There's 17 different events. So please make sure that your students understand if in their guidelines or on this list, if they're in an event on this list, or it says in their guidelines that they have to have a digital upload, they must upload it. It doesn't matter that we didn't do digital uploads at states. That's a moot point now because they are required for ILC. And again, that May 15th deadline. So please make sure that your students are uploading all of their digital uploads by May 15th. If they're not uploaded by May 15th, there's nothing that I'm going to be able to do for you because that is a hard and fast deadline set by Global National HOSA. So even if I begged, they're going to say no, because there's over 12,000 people coming to this conference. So they are very strict with their deadline. So when they say May 15th, that's what they mean. So 11:59 p.m. on May 15th, you must submit and have your student members upload any digital uploads that they need to submit. Because again, once that deadline passes, there's nothing that I will be able to do, or our state office will be able to do for your student. Which is why, if you go back to our main page right here, we have a reminder. Because if they do not submit their digital uploads by May 15th, they will not be assigned an appointment time. So again, it is crucial that they get those digital uploads in by that deadline. So they will not be able to compete at ILC without their digital upload if their event requires a digital upload. So there are many that don't, but there are a good amount that do. So just make sure you're checking that, as well as having your students check their guidelines as well. Okay, so this is kind of, we covered most of what I wanted to cover in terms of going in depth with the boxes. I do want to go back up here and discuss our registration deadlines. So our registration deadlines are different than Global National HOSA. Our deadlines are always earlier because we want to make sure that before that May 15th deadline, all of Florida HOSA's registration is correct. So by us having our deadline a little bit earlier, it allows for, if there's any issues, it can be fixed before their deadline of May 15th, because like I said, that's a very hard and fast deadline that they set. And there's nothing that I can do if it is past May 15th. If you have not registered, there's nothing that I can do. If you have not taken your competitor out of the system, if you registered them and then they're not coming and you haven't removed them from the system by May 15th, there's nothing that I can do for you. The money will be owed, and that's just Global National HOSA's deadline. So we had a few schools last year that happened. They hadn't removed the competitors, and unfortunately they had to submit payment for the competitors that weren't going, because they still had their registration in and had not taken it out by May 15th. So that's why our registration deadline is earlier. I just wanted I get a lot of questions about that. So I just want to explain why. It's really for the benefit of you all and your competitors. Again, if there are any issues, that we can correct those before you owe the final amount for your chapter. We are doing things a little bit different this year, though. So this is what I want to spend most of the time on for this webinar. If you've seen our calendar of events, you have seen that we have 3 different deadlines for ILC registration now. Usually it's just one. But we have noticed over the past few years that, unfortunately, our 4th and 5th place competitors haven't gotten the best opportunity to attend ILC because a lot of times I wasn't notified that the 1st through 3rd couldn't attend until it was a day or two before the deadline. And by that point, it's too quick of a turnaround for the 4th and 5th place competitors to register, talk with their parents, see if they can come register and all of that. So we decided, and we're trying it out this year, so bear with us, but we've thought long and hard about it, and the best way that we could go about doing this to try to give our 4th and 5th place competitors the best opportunity to go. So we will have 3 different registration deadlines. The first one will be for the 1st through 3rd competitors. So if you have a competitor that placed 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, the deadline for you to register them for the ILC is May 1st by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If they are not registered by that deadline, it's automatically opened up to the 4th place competitor. So if I get an email on May 2nd, oh my goodness, I forgot. Unfortunately, that spot is already opened up to the fourth place competitor, and I cannot take that back. So please make sure that you're looking at the calendar of events, you're looking at this here, putting it in your calendar, but making sure that, and I know it can get complicated when you have multiple competitors and first through third, and then you might have some fourth and fifth place, but just try your best to keep it straight so that you know there, if you have a first, second, or third place competitor, you must register them for ILC by May 1st at 11:59 p.m. We're going to touch on the eligibility table in just a second because that's how you'll know for fourth and fifth place, but I want to go over the deadlines first. The registration deadline for fourth place competitors. So if you have a fourth place competitor and they become eligible to attend the ILC because a first, second, or third place competitor is not attending, the deadline for the fourth place competitors is May 6th by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, if you reach out to me on May 7th and say, oh my gosh, I forgot to register them, unfortunately, it will already be open to the fifth place competitor. Our final deadline for fifth place competitors, and then also all other non-competing attendees, so advisors, chaperones, guests, family, that deadline is May 9th by 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's probably easiest if you just get everybody registered if you're able to by that May 1st deadline so that you're on track. And then really all you would be kind of waiting for would be fourth or fifth place competitors. But just know you do have until May 9th to register your other non-competing attendees, again, advisors, chaperones, guest, family, as well as your fifth place competitors. I do want to make a note, and this was a change to the calendar of events. We did update it. It's posted to the website. Originally, we had the postmark deadline for forms and payment to be the same day as the registration deadline, which was May 9th. And really, we had it as the received deadline to be received in our office. I understand how difficult that would be because, again, if you're still registering up until May 9th, you're obviously not going to be able to get the payment, the school check cut and the payment and the forms sent to be received in our office by the 9th. So I am extending that deadline. We're going to keep it consistent with FLDA and SLC and just do a postmark deadline. So May 19th is the postmark deadline for ILC forms and payment. You don't need to email me and say anything about, the May 9th deadline because that for forms and payment because that's no longer. So again, we are moving the postmark deadline for the forms and the payment to us, not to Global National HOSA, that's separate, but the ILC checklist, the registration summary, and the school check-in money order. I'll touch on this again. Those three things have a postmark deadline of May 19th to our state office, just to give you guys a little bit more time to get those checks cut. And I know sometimes it takes a couple weeks for your school to cut a check, or they only cut it on certain days. So I want to make sure that you all have enough time to get that to us. So those are the registration deadlines. If you have any questions, just say, if you would save them to the end, because I might be able to answer them when I go through the eligibility table. But right here, you will see what is due to us. So again, like I had just mentioned, the ILC checklist, which is right here in this box, the registration summary, which you download from the HOSA system, and it's due with all of our conferences, so you should be aware of the registration summary. And then a school check or money order. Again, as a reminder, personal checks and credit cards are not accepted. So all of that has to be sent to the Florida HOSA state office. Again, please do not send payment, or please make sure your bookkeepers do not make payment out to Global National HOSA in Southlake, Texas. It needs to be made out to Florida HOSA and sent to us at our state office in Alachua. Again, that postmark deadline of May 19th. We just have some reminders here about the Code of Conduct and Medical Liability release forms and how to access them. But again, I already went over that down here in the required forms and submission. Those are due by May 15th because that's Global National HOSA's deadline. I know it's a little bit confusing, but just try your best to keep it straight. Again, these up here are our registration deadlines, the 1st, the 6th, and the 9th. Those are our registration deadlines. Global National HOSA's registration deadline is the 15th. But you must have everybody registered for Florida HOSA by May 9th. So again, anything you're submitting to Global National HOSA, like the accommodation request form, the medical liability, the code of conduct, those are all due May 15th. And then for us, just a reminder, May 19th is the postmark deadline for the forms and payment to us. If you have any questions about that, you can obviously always send me an email, but it is all right there. And if you just try to keep, like I said, put it in your calendar, just try to keep the dates straight as best you can. But just remembering that, especially this part right here about the digital uploads, just please make sure that your students are uploading anything that they need to upload for their competitive event by that May 15th deadline. Okay, so I'm going to go into this eligibility table to better explain how you all will figure out whether you have a 4th or 5th place person, competitor that is eligible or team. And we are going to update this as quickly as possible. I don't want to say daily if we can't fulfill that, but as registrations come in, we will update this table as quickly as we possibly can. So I'm gonna, before I get into this eligibility table, and again, you can get to this how I just did, or if on our main Florida HOSA page, it's right up there at the top in a big box, so you can get to it that way. I do want to mention, if you already know that your 1st through 3rd place or 4th and 5th, if you already know that they're not coming, I mean, mainly 1st through 3rd, but any of 1st through 5th, if you know for certain that they are not coming to ILC, please just send me an email and let me know that. We will go ahead and mark it that they are not coming. So if you send me an email and say they're not coming, we're going to mark it red on here. I'll go through that in just a second. And then that's gonna show the 4th place advisor that has a 4th place competitor that they can register for the ILC. So if your competitors are on the fence, please don't email me and say they're not coming. Because as soon as I have that in writing, I will go into this eligibility table and mark that they are not coming to the conference. And we don't want to have to go back and, at that point, we can't go back and tell the other person that they can't come. So once your competitors make a decision, that is the final decision. So just make sure they understand if you're emailing me and saying that they are not coming, then their spot is going to be opened up for somebody else. So with this eligibility table, we have it separated by middle school and then secondary and post-secondary. You'll see up at the top, 1st place. So the deadline to register for ILC is May 1st. Same thing with 2nd place, same thing with 3rd place, okay? This is the up-to-date table. This does have Lloyd worked really hard while he was exhausted after SLC and got this table updated. So this is the winners list from our state leadership conference, and it is accurate and up to date. So if there are green boxes, it is because those competitors have already registered to attend the ILC. Again, we're trying to keep it as updated as possible for you all so that you can go into this at any point and kind of see where your competitors stand, either individually or as a team. Fourth place, you'll see up at the top, and you'll see may start registering May 2nd. And the deadline to register for fourth place, again, is that May 6th deadline. And that's only if one of the top three is not attending the ILC. And that will be marked with a red box. I'll show you an example in just a second. Fifth place, you may start registering May 7th, unless notified, before by this table that there's at least two competitors or teams that are not attending. But the deadline to register for fifth place would be May 9th. And that would be if two of the top four are not attending the ILC. Because again, we can only bring three for each competitive event. So going through here, you'll see, like I said, you'll see some that are already marked green. It's because they've already registered to attend. So here, like health career preparation, the fourth place competitor will only be able to go if the first place is not going, as with any other competitive event. But you can see here that the second and third place have already registered. So you can go through and look at your leisure to see your competitors who have placed. I don't believe we have any schools yet that have all three, first, second, and third marked as green that are all going, which would make fourth and fifth place ineligible. But I do want to note here, so HOSA, this is a good example. I already received an email from the advisor for the first place team that they are not attending ILC. So we have gone ahead and marked them as red. So if the second and third place competitors do register and are marked green, let's say within the next week, the fourth place competitor can go in and register because we already know for certain that first place is not coming. That's why they're marked red. So because we can bring three teams for HOSA and for all the other events, because first place already said that they're not coming, basically that already opens it up for fourth place to attend. So even though we haven't reached the deadline or the May 2nd time frame of when the fourth place can start registering. Again, if you look up here, fourth place may start registering May 2nd, and that's because May 1st is the deadline for the first through third. Because one team is already not attending out of the first through third, this fourth place team from Sebring High can register for ILC. They don't have to wait until May 2nd to do so. They can go ahead and register now. And that's why I said don't email me saying that a competitor or the team cannot attend unless you're absolutely certain. Because at this point, I have now we've gone in and marked this HOSA team from Westport as not attending, which then opens it up for the Sebring High team to attend. And so the Westport team can't come back and say, wait, now we are actually attending, because we've already opened it up to the fourth place competitor. So again, please just make sure that you're not emailing me until you're certain. Because if you don't send me an email that they're not coming, you have technically until May 1st, if you have a first through third competitor or team, to register. So they do have through May 1st to decide if they are coming or not. Now, once that May 1st deadline passes, so we're talking May 2nd, 8 a.m. when Lloyd gets into the office, we will be downloading our registration. He will be going in and marking off the first, second, or third place competitors or teams who are not registered by that deadline. He'll be marking them in red. So then the fourth place competitor, so if you're an advisor with a fourth place competitor, you can then go in starting May 2nd. I would say give Lloyd a little bit of time, a few hours, so maybe by like 10 a.m., 11 a.m., we should have this updated based on the registration. So you can go in and look and see, and if there is at least one competitor or team in the top 3 that are not registered and are marked in red, then you can go ahead and register your 4th place team or competitor. But also 5th place, and this is where it can get a little bit confusing, if you can also go in on that deadline day. And if you see 2 teams that are marked red, so let's just say for community awareness, the second place team at Edgewood Junior Senior High, as well as the 3rd place team from American Heritage, let's just say they're not coming and it's marked in red. Even though technically it's not May 7th, you can still go in and register because it's already noted that those 2 teams are not coming. I know this can get a little bit confusing, but we just want to, there's not enough time for me to be able to then notify each, and it takes too much time for me to notify each advisor by email, whether the 1st, 2nd, or 3rd are not competing. It's just an easier way to kind of look at everything at once and see where your competitors lie. And like I said, as we get emails sent to me of competitors and teams that cannot and are not going, we'll keep that updated and mark them in red so that you may not even have to wait until your, May 2nd or May 7th deadline to go in and look and see if your competitors can attend. So that is how we are doing it. Like I said, if you go in there at any point, you're a 4th place competitor, advisor for a 4th place competitor team. Like for instance, for parliamentary procedure, if I get a notification tomorrow that the team at Wharton High is not coming, we'll go in, mark it red, and then the 4th place team from Tara could go in and register tomorrow once that is marked red. So just kind of keep checking and going back and looking. Like I said, we're going to try to update this as quickly as we possibly can for you so that you can know kind of in live time what competitors and teams aren't coming and whether your 4th or 5th place competitor or team can attend. If you have any questions about that, just save it till the end. We'll touch base on it right at the end in the Q&A, but I do want to go through the registration quickly. So very similar, this part has not changed in terms of how you register for the conference. It is the same as our SLC. There are different options of what you can select, but so we'll go through that. But you pick the ILC tile, and you will go in under registrations like normal, click the red plus sign, and you'll see all of your members listed. So you can go in and click register, same way you would do for SLC. It's going to populate more registration types than you're probably used to seeing. So the only ones that you will be choosing from your end is the advisor, which if you're registering yourself, it should already populate to that if you're an affiliated advisor. So advisor, middle school, right here. Again, your middle school members that are affiliated, it should already populate to that. Post-secondary, collegiate, and secondary. So you should not choose state staff or CE staff or alumni. You wouldn't be choosing any of those. That would be from our office with our registration. So please just make sure that it's either advisor, middle school, post-secondary, collegiate, or secondary. So you will scroll down. Same thing as usual with the competitive events. You'll just click the competitive event. Please note that we separate ours by middle school and secondary, post-secondary for our SLC registration. That is not how ILC does it. So all middle school, secondary, and post-secondary competitors will be registered, or attendees will be registered in that same tile that says 2025 ILC. So you just need to make certain that when you're clicking this drop down for register for competitive events, you're paying attention to what you're choosing, because the middle school events are combined in here in this list with the secondary and post-secondary. So you just need to make sure if you have a middle schooler, you're choosing Foundations of HOSAble, not HOSAble, because the HOSAble event is for the secondary and post-secondary. So that's just something I wanted to touch on. Under options and activities on this drop down, you will see a lot of options to choose from. If you have a member that is interested in serving as a courtesy corps, up here at the top, you can select courtesy corps. There is no guarantee that they will be selected. We get a certain amount of courtesy corps, voting delegates, workshop ambassadors, etc. So there's no guarantee that they will be selected. But if you have somebody that is really eager and wanting to do courtesy corps, please register them as a courtesy corps. Go ahead and just register them. But also shoot me an email saying, hey, I have a member so-and-so. They really, really want to be a courtesy corps, and I'll put them on our list of interested members to be courtesy corps, so that I can look at that list when I'm selecting our courtesy corps members for Florida. You will not choose executive council candidate or flag bearer or the entertainment chaperone. That would be all selected by us. There are, let me scroll over, there are these HOSA University courses. They do cost extra money. There's more information about them in the HOSA guide. You can look at it at your leisure. They do have the dates listed. Some of them occur earlier than others. So you just want to make sure that you're there for those dates and times, and that your student members, or you, because there are advisor courses as well, can be there for those and attending those. So please make sure, if you're interested in doing one of these university classes, you look at the guide to see what time it is, and the costs associated are in there as well. And then also for courtesy corps, if you need any additional information about that, it's page 18 of the ILC guide. Same thing down here with voting delegates and workshop ambassadors. Also page 18 in the guide. There's no guarantee that they will be selected. I will try my best. Usually I'm able to get everybody into some sort of assignment. So maybe if they say they want to be a voting delegate and I can't get them in to be a voting delegate, I'll try my best to get them in to be a courtesy corps, or vice versa. I do try my best to make sure that we have full representation with all of the spots that we are allowed to fill for ILC. So just make sure if they're interested in serving as a voting delegate, workshop ambassador, or a courtesy corps, you do select that here. And then go ahead and email me and let me know what they're interested in doing at the ILC. I do want to mention too, going back to the competitive events, you'll see up here at the top, there are all these ATC tests. We do not offer those at our state conference, but they do offer them at ILC. Those are the National Geographic tests. In your registration, so the registration fee is $125. That is Global National HOSA's registration fee for ILC. In that registration fee, there is one National Geographic test included for free in that registration fee. So if you have a member that would like to take one of the ATC tests, they might not even know that there is the option for them to get one free test anyway. So just let them know that if they're interested in taking it. I believe they recognize the top 10 on stage for all of these tests, but just let them know that one free test is included with their registration fee of the $125. Any additional tests that they would like to do in addition to that one free test is going to be $20 each. And that will populate once you do the registration. The first one will populate as free, and then the rest will populate as at $20. So that is where you will select any of those. And it will allow you the option to choose their competitive event and then whatever national geographic test they would like to do. I get a lot of questions about recognition events because it is confusing. So for recognition events, for most of the recognition events, except for emotional well-being challenge and the healthcare issues exam, I'll talk about that in a second. But besides those two, and HOSA happenings to an extent, but besides those two, if your students were recognized at SLC for a recognition event like Barbara James or the Health Literacy Ambassador, they will be recognized if they met that minimum, and obviously they would have to have been recognized at our state leadership conference. They will be recognized at the International Leadership Conference. If you have somebody that wants to be recognized for Barbara, this is just an example, but wants to be recognized at the International Leadership Conference for the Barbara James Service Award, but is not going to be going to the International Leadership Conference, you do not need to register them. So you do not need to register them. You do not need to have them pay the $125 registration fee. They will automatically be recognized at the ILC, again, except for those two events, the emotional well-being and the healthcare issues. They will be recognized automatically at the ILC. If they want to attend the International Leadership Conference, then they must register. So the only difference really is that if they attend the ILC, they can obviously walk across the stage if they're in official dress, and they will receive a pin. If they are not at the ILC, they obviously will not be able to walk across the stage or receive the pin. But their name, regardless, will still be mentioned on the big screens, whether they're there or not. So it's really up to them whether they want to attend the ILC, whether they want to pay the $125 registration fee. But if they are just simply looking to be recognized on the screens at ILC and they're not interested in going to the ILC, they don't need to register. We had a couple of people register last year that didn't end up coming. So essentially in that regard, it's just a waste of the $125 if they're not going to be attending, because they still will get recognized. But again, the difference would be the emotional well-being challenge, because they do have to be registered for that. That's an ILC only event. And the healthcare issues exam. They do need to be registered for that as well, because they will be taking the healthcare issues exam at the International Leadership Conference. So those two are the only exception. HOSA happenings, those are only the chapters that met the standards at SLC. I provide a list to Global National HOSA of our HOSA happenings winners, so they do not have to be registered. I supply that list to them, and they will be recognized at the ILC. So it's only if they would like to attend the ILC that they would register for the ILC if they're only in HOSA happenings. And again, those other two, the emotional well-being and the healthcare issues exam, they must be registered. If you have any questions about the recognition events, again, I know it's a little bit confusing, so just send me an email. I'll probably ask you to call me just because it's a little bit easier to talk it through on the phone. But just know that all those that were recognized at the state leadership conference in all the events minus emotional well-being, because we didn't that's not offered at SLC, and then healthcare issues. They only need to register for ILC if they're planning on attending the International Leadership Conference. Just a reminder, please make sure that, and you'll do it here under competitive events, that you're linking your teams together correctly. You would have had practice doing this at the regional conference level, the state leadership conference level. Now you'll have to do it again for ILC. We did look through our registration and we already have a team that is incorrectly registered. They're not linked together correctly. So if you've already done your registration and you have a team event, please go back through your registration and make sure that they're linked correctly. If you need specific instructions on how to do that, I cover that in depth in the regional conference webinar that's on our website. So you can refer back to that and look through how to link up the teams. But just make sure that because again, there's nothing that I can do for you after the May 15th deadline. So if you register a competitor in the wrong event or the teams aren't linked together correctly or whatever the case may be, that's a global national HOSA decision of whether they'll let you fix the error. Again, we try to catch the errors between our registration deadline and theirs, but they have the final say. So, and usually the final say is no. If it's after that deadline, it's a firm deadline. So just make sure that you're going back through, double, triple, quadruple checking your registration, making sure that all your teams are linked together correctly, making sure that all of your students are in the correct competitive event, especially again, that middle school and then secondary, post-secondary, make sure, especially if you're a middle high, it's beneficial when we have it separated because you can put all your middle schoolers in one conference and then your secondary in another, but in this instance, they're all together. So just make sure you're selecting the correct competitive event. I do want to show you really quick how to do the chaperone guest family, same as usual. So at the bottom here, you would click register family guest other. And up at the top, you'll have the option for chaperone or guest family. Then you'll have to put their contact information in. So that is where you will do the chaperone guest family registration. Again, very similar to our state conference. A few reminders, and I can also pull the eligibility page back up if we need. So this is new on Global National HOSA's part, but there are 2 opening general sessions. If you've looked through the guide, you've seen that. Florida is assigned the second opening general session, which is the later time. So from 8 to 9:30. So we are the second opening session on Wednesday, June 18th. We'll remind you at registration check-in, but just make sure, you let your members know so that they are ready to be at that session. Again, we're the second session, 8 to 9:30. We have been assigned 3 competitive events because we have such a large delegation coming. So we have been assigned testing on Thursday, CPR, first aid, as well as EMT. So I am going to need advisors' assistance with running those events. So I just want to give you guys a heads up. I have to let Global National HOSA know by May 15th the assignments, and obviously we will be utilizing Courtesy Core as well for patients and competitive event runners and things like that. But I will rely a lot on our advisors that are coming to assist with those competitive events because we have to run those. That's just a rule set by Global National HOSA. Each state is assigned competitive events to run, and we have to fulfill that duty. And there's only 3 of us coming from the state office, so obviously we can't run those events ourselves. So we are going to rely on you to assist with that. I do want to give you a heads up that the testing will be on site at the Gaylord, but the CPR event and the EMT events will be off site. There are a lot of events that are off site. You can look that up on the ILC page, but just make sure you're aware for your competitors which ones are going to be going off site for their events and which ones aren't. Usually they do not let the advisors go with the student. They have bus coordinators and adults on the bus that help with transportation. So I just want to let you guys know about that because there are quite a few more competitive events that are off-site than there were last year. Again, so just reminding you what to submit to us versus what to submit to global national HOSA. So for us, you'll be submitting the ILC checklist, the registration summary, and the payment. That is all that you have to submit to us is those three things. Don't send us the medical liability, the code of conduct forms, the accommodation forms. We don't need any of that. We just need the checklist, the registration summary, and the payment. Again, just make sure your bookkeepers are sending the payment to the correct address, number one, but they're making the check out to the correct vendor, number two, which is Florida HOSA, not National HOSA in Southlake, Texas. So submitting to Global National HOSA, you will be submitting those code of conduct and ethics forms, the medical liability forms. Again, we have that link directly on our site. So you just put it in one PDF file and upload it, and you don't need to turn them into us. Accommodation forms, you'll follow that link. You'll type in all the information, and you'll send it and upload it to them that way. And then digital uploads, don't forget, those are also due May 15th. And that will be through Global National HOSA as well through the link provided. And like I mentioned, the ILC deadline is very firm. So that's why we have that earlier deadline for Florida HOSA, gives a little bit of leeway in case there's any issues and you need to delete a person or something. But once that May 15th deadline passes, there's really nothing I can do for you in terms of, getting somebody deleted from the system or unregistered. The money will be owed. So please make sure that you have all of your registrations in by May 9th, which is our deadline. But again, noting those three different deadlines for the first through third competitors, then the fourth, then the fifth place competitors. Okay. And then also just one more quick thing, the postmark deadline. So May 19th, again, don't worry about rushing and getting your forms and your payment to us by that May 9th deadline, which was the original deadline. We have moved that to May 19th. So you have a little bit of time to get checks cut and forms, submitted to us and everything. I think that's it. I will open it up for questions. I know there's been questions coming through the chat. And if anybody, I'll go through the chat, but if anybody has any other questions, you can unmute yourself and ask away. I have a question in here. I've not seen anywhere in the ILC information that we have to attend for the full time, like SLC. Do you have any information? Can we come late and leave early? That would be a question for Global National HOSA because it is their conference. We do not have any control over that. Our rule for SLC is based on our general liability company and our general liability insurance, and that's why we have that rule for SLC for Florida HOSA. But I would reach out directly to Global National HOSA if you have any questions about that. But I also have not seen anywhere where it says that you have to stay for the full duration of the conference, at least yet that I've seen in the guide. So unfortunately, I can't answer that question specifically, but I would reach out to Global National HOSA. You can email them at info@hosa.org, and I can put that in the chat.
Hi, I had the question earlier. Our district does some help with funding this, but they will only fund what's paid with the school P card. Can we pay for registration with P card?
We do not do credit card payments for registration, unfortunately. You can send me an email and see if maybe we can figure out some type of solution.
Okay.
But we don't do credit card payments at this point in time.
Oh, if only Palm Beach County knew that.
Well, send me an email, and we can try to figure out something.
I do have a question. It's a very specific one. I have one student going to ILC. It's our first time going as a chapter. So would I be able to send my one student with another school in our district with their advisor?
As long as your school personnel, principal, maybe the district, I don't know how far
Mhm.
involved they get, as long as they're okay with that, and as long as the other school's advisor is willing to serve as that student's chaperone, and that their school district and district principal, anybody, all those people are okay with that. So as long as both sides are
Okay,
okay with that, that would be fine. When you're filling out the checklist, just make sure for lead chaperone, you just put the other advisor's name.
perfect. And then as far as registrations would go, I would just register my student.
Yes. So you'll
Okay.
just register your student. When Mandy's reconciling, she'll see that there's only one person registered. And then that's when she'll go to your checklist and see who's serving as
Okay.
the chaperone or the advisor for that student.
Okay. And
And then
I did tell my district as well, so they should be they hopefully it's good.
yeah, usually that type of thing is okay. Like I said, as long as both sides are okay with it and approve it. And then that other advisor who would be serving as the chaperone would be responsible for picking up the registration bag for that one member.
Mhm.
So we will have a separate registration bag for your school, but it'll just have that member's materials in it.
Okay, thank you.
I'm getting in the chat, I'm getting some messages that of competitors that can't come. Please shoot me an email so that way I can look at that and send those to Lloyd so we can update the table. But please send me an email with those competitor names or teams. There's a question on here. If there are openings, for example, HOSA first, second, third place, and fourth place are not going, does that make fifth, sixth, and seventh place eligible to attend? No. We only go up to fifth. So we don't, unfortunately, sixth and seventh place wouldn't be eligible at any point. And then fifth would only be eligible if two teams from first through fourth are not attending. Then the fifth place could attend. And so for fourth place,
I think
mhm.
HOSA and biomedical debate, though, we only have 1 through 4 to
We do.
go. I don't
We
think
do.
there isn't a
There are
fifth
only,
recognized.
yeah. So and you'll note that on the competitor list for in the eligibility table, you'll see that for HOSA Bowl, there are only 4 teams that are listed. But in terms of just speaking generally for any event, sixth and seventh place are never eligible to attend. It would only be up through fifth. Questions about the HOSA 100 and events and all that. Those are specific kind of workshops for either for middle schoolers or they have ones for our state officers that our state officers attend only, but they do have ones for new chapter advisors. They have ones for like local officers. So you can look in the guide and it will list it out what each one of those are and a little blurb about what they can expect to learn in each of the sessions.
Jack, I have a quick question about the digital uploads. The middle school kids are concerned about doing the uploads, and I'm looking at Patricia's comment that her kids had a hard time last year. When you register on the registration page, can they just give it to me to do the digital uploads, or do they have to do them in both areas? Because I've got a team who requires digital uploads. So when I registered, I saw digital upload and I'm thinking, okay, am I supposed to do that, or do they do that as well as me?
Lloyd, do you know specifically how they do that? If it's required by both, or if Pam could just do it for the middle schoolers?
No, the the advisors can do it for the competitors. It is, if the competitors can do it, great. But no, as Patricia did last year, and Pam, if you want to do it this year, the advisors can upload the required materials.
But we don't have to. Okay.
No,
I
but
just
you don't
wasn't-
have to.
I
Exactly.
just
The
wasn't-
competitors could.
Okay, I just wasn't sure if I was going to miss something in registration, not having had a team that had to do digital uploads in the past. I don't want to miss anything. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes, no problem. Middle school does not end sooner. They correct, Lloyd? Because they do them all together. They have different sessions where they do different categories for the competitive events, but there's not a separate one for middle school like we have.
You're correct, Jackie. It's not, their award sessions are not split by divisions. They are split by categories, so that you'll have middle school, secondary, and post-secondary collegiate competitors all receiving awards at the same award session.
For hotel reservations, is it like SLC where we can make revisions to the numbers of rooms needed, or is it a commitment to reserve the rooms? That would be a question for Jonathan. In just a second, I'll put their contact information. I'll put the email address and the phone number for his office. I believe that the hotel reservations, well, they need to be made by the May 15th. I'm not exactly sure when you have to have those final numbers. I would assume May 15th, but that would be a question for him. I do believe they are going to have it where once you do the reservations, you can go back and make adjustments. But I'm also not positive. So that would be a question for him. If you give me just a second, I can put his information in the group chat for everybody, because unfortunately, it's not on the travel page on ILC. Okay, so here is the contact information. Here's the email. And then the phone number, just give me 1 second. And if you lose either of these and need me to resend it, you can just send me an email. I'd be happy to send you either the email or the phone number again. Okay, and then here's their office phone number. Okay. Workshop ambassador. They explain what a workshop ambassador is on page 18 of the ILC guide. But basically, it's they offer workshops at ILC similar to like we do at SLC on Saturday. And the workshop ambassadors are there to assist with those workshops. So helping the workshop and exhibitors set up for whatever workshop they're assigned to, cleaning up in between workshops, basically anything that the workshop host might need assistance with, setting up projectors, anything like that. But there's a whole section in the guide where it will explain to you exactly what the workshop ambassador is. But that's a gist. where does it show the location? I do not see it on the ILC guide. The location for the conference itself, or what specifically?
The location, you said some of the events would be off-site to check the guide.
So they just might not have those released yet. Usually they put it in a table. Let me look really quick and see if they have that. They just might not have released it yet.
Okay, but that's where it should be is.
Is it under CE?
It's usually under competitive events. So here, let me.
Right. Usually it's going to be on the ILC CE page, competitive event page, but they usually put it in the ILC program too. Right now, we only have the ILC guide that's been sent out. But once the ILC program is released, it should be in there also.
So yeah, so right now they have the old program that'll be updated as soon as they're done with the 2025 and it'll be in there. But if you go to 2025 competitive events, they have CE updates, CE schedule. You can view the schedule.
I do see the schedule. Okay. Okay.
So again, you'll see a lot of these like biotechnology, it says off-site facility. They just haven't updated where yet, but they will. It's just a tentative schedule for now, but that will be updated soon. And they'll repost it. So you can at least see now which events are going to be at an off-site facility. Like I'd mentioned CPR, we're doing that one. The round 2 is at an off-site facility. But the test is at the actual convention center.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. You mentioned on Wednesday, June 18th from 8 to 9:30 something about an open session. Can you repeat what you meant?
Sure. And I'll show you guys in the guide too, really quick. Because it's not hopefully they'll have it updated in the program. But as of right now, it's not, it just says the 2 different sessions and the times. It doesn't have which states. But if you go to the ILC guide and you scroll down to you'll see a little blurb here that there's 2 opening sessions. So one at 5 p.m. and one at 8 p.m. And then chartered associations will be assigned. And we have been assigned, but they only sent that to me. So if you go down here and you'll see Wednesday, right down here, you'll see the first session 5 to 6:30 and then 8 to 9:30. So that's the one that we are assigned, the 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. opening session group 2 is what Florida is assigned to. And I'll put that in the email that I send out when we have the recording uploaded. I'll send you all an email just letting you know that it's posted to the website, and I can put that in there as well, just so you have that for reference. But yeah, we're assigned to the second opening session from 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, I also have only one student attending. Can their parents serve as the advisor if we put them as lead chaperone on the forms and register them online in regards to picking up any wristbands, registration materials for their kid at ILC? So yes, the parent can serve as the chaperone. You will, as long as it's okay with your school, that they do that. They can serve as the chaperone for their son or daughter. You would just list that in the checklist. You would just list them as the lead chaperone, and please make sure that you put their cell phone number so that we have that, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to contact them. But yes, parents can serve, again, if it's okay with your school. Parents can serve as the chaperone, and that we do see that regularly, just because it is during the summer and all of that. So.
Becky, quick question. Both of my events that place, they have to submit their digital upload. And so then if they're chosen, they go to round 2. When do we find out? Do we find out when we get there if they made it to round 2, or do they send us an email prior to?
Lloyd, do you know?
What do you know specifically which events, Mandy?
Yes. Yeah. The health career display and public health.
Okay. Right. So those do have uploads. I would have to look that up, to be honest. If you can shoot Jackie and I an email, I'll check that out and see if we can get either a timeline or information for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's a question on here about getting on the wait list for the Gaylord. That would, yes, that's a Jonathan question. So if you just send Jonathan an email and he can try to get you on the wait list. I do know there is a wait list. There's a question here. This is a good question. Should we plan to arrive at the hotel on the 17th or the 18th? That is really up to you. I mean, if you're able to, I would say the 17th, just because if there's any issues with delayed flights or anything like that, you would be able to be there, by the 18th. The registration check-in is on the 18th, from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. So you need to at least be to the hotel by 1 p.m. because they actually do kick us out of the room because they use that room for other things for the conference. So once 1 o'clock hits, they're like, all right, you guys gotta go. So I would say if you can get there on the 17th, that would be ideal. If you can't, just make sure you can get to the hotel on the 18th by 1 p.m. to get your registration materials. And Trisha Dodson wrote in there if you're in Hillsborough, so you might want to read that question or that response about parents serving as the lead chaperone, because again, that's really up to your school in terms of whether they allow the parents to. Each school and each district has different rules with that, so we really just defer to you and the school. But if they are an approved chaperone and allowed to bring their student, then that is okay with us.
Jackie?
Yes.
I just got word from ILC people. There are no rules on when you have to arrive or depart.
So there we go. That was fast that they got back to you. Yeah, there's nothing that says in the guide. So yep, that would be the answer from them. So yes, if you need someone to pick up we really do like to avoid that though, like someone picking up somebody else's. But if there's a certain instance where you need that, you can let me and Mandy know, and we can make sure we note that somebody else would be picking up the bag. Okay, I think I got through all of the questions in the chat. Are there any other questions? And we are hitting 6 p.m., so right on the dot. Are there any other questions before we end the meeting? Okay. Well, if you think of something after the fact, just send me an email. We'll be happy to help. Some questions that might be you'll have to ask Global National HOSA that if we don't know, because again, they have different, protocols and processes for things that they do. So if we're able to help in any way, we will. Just remember our deadlines. Put them in your calendar. Remember that there's 3 different deadlines for the 1st through 3rd, and then the 4th and 5th competitors. And again, please just let me know, like I said, if you know now, or if your students know now that they're not coming, please send me an email so we can go ahead and mark them as not attending. So that way the 4th and or 5th place competitor or team can go ahead and get registered and get their forms filled out and all of that. But just make sure you know that if you send me an email that says they're not coming, that's the final decision. So don't send me one unless you know for certain that they're not attending. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for being on this webinar. Again, it will be posted to our page hopefully by tomorrow to reference back to if you need. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, Mandy, or Lloyd, and we'd be happy to help you. So,
Thank you.
yeah, thank you so much for all you guys do.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you.